Hey y'all, welcome to Remote Viewing Investigations with Jessica. I'm your host, Jessica Jones. We'll be peering through the veil to shed light on mysterious cases from all over the world. We invite you to join us on this magnificent journey through space and time to try to unravel these mysteries. Please don't forget to give us a thumbs up, share this out, and subscribe to Texas Front Porch and to my channel, The Cryptid Huntress, on YouTube. You can find us on Odyssey Radio and iHeartRadio and can contact us at Texas Front Porch on Facebook or email us at paracryptidencounters@gmail.com and oracleofthesouth@gmail.com. You can reach us through text at 972-559-0988. If you'd like to support us in what we do here, our super chats are open. Thanks and enjoy the show. Hey y'all, welcome into Remote Viewing Investigations with Jessica. I'm your host, Jessica Jones. I have a really weird target for us tonight. It's the Loveland Frogman. Okay, it's not just one. It's not just the Frogman. We've got frogmen. Okay, and I'm really excited about this. It was so weird. I looked into this 4 different times. Okay, I have 4 targets for us tonight that I've looked into, and yeah, this is definitely one of the more strange ones, and I'm so glad you guys are here. This is going to be a lot of fun. I do have Tex here from Texas Front Porch. He's backstage, and I'm going to bring him up in just a minute. But first, I'm going to read to you guys a little bit about what we're looking at tonight. Okay. All right. So the Loveland Frogman is a very interesting cryptid out of the beautiful state of Ohio. Okay. It's been spotted in Loveland, Ohio, several times since its first sighting, when a traveling salesman was driving along a road late at night around May 5th of 1955. He spotted 3 humanoid figures on the side of the road. He described them as being around 4 feet tall, standing erect on their hind legs, with leathery skin and frog faces. All right. He claimed that they were standing under a dimly lit bridge, and one of them held a wand over its head and fired a spray of sparks. Okay, so these are not only frogmen, but they're frogmen with magic wands. Okay, so I looked into it. Y'all don't worry. We're going to get to it. All right. In March of 1972 at 1 a.m., a Loveland police officer was driving on Riverside Drive near the Totes boot factory and the Little Miami River when an unidentified animal scurried across the road in front of his vehicle. The animal was fully illuminated in his vehicle's headlights, and he described it as being 3 to 4 feet long and about 50 to 75 pounds with leathery skin. He reported spotting the animal crouched like a frog, okay, before it momentarily stood erect to climb over the guardrail and back down towards the river. In August of 2016, a teenage couple were playing Pokemon Go, okay, that was a red flag for me because those are a whole bunch of little avatars, okay, that could look like a frog, man. But they were near Lake Isabella when they spotted something strange. At first, they thought it was just a giant frog until it stood up on both legs. One teen managed to take a short video and a couple of pictures of what they discovered, but what they captured was a grainy video of 2 reflective eyes. A slight outline of a bipedal figure can be seen, yet the video and photos are up for debate to their authenticity. Is it a hoax or mistaken identity of an iguana missing its tail? Or is this one of Ohio's most interesting cryptids? Well, we're going to find out tonight. And to help me with all of this fun times, good times, I've got Mr. Tex Wesson of Texas Front Porch with me tonight. Hey, Tex.
Howdy.
Hey. Thank you so much for being here with me tonight. I have to have somebody to crack up with about this stuff.
Yeah, this one's a little out there, and that's and that's saying a lot when we get on here and we say, okay, this is weird. That is a big statement because we talk about a lot of stuff that is on the fringe.
Oh my gosh, we talk about the weirdest stuff, and I've been really focused in on stuff that is kind of alien-like lately. You know, we've covered frogmen attacks. We've covered Bigfoot attacks. We've covered missing time. We've covered you name it. We've done some alien stuff, but never a frogman. Okay.
Nope.
So this is going to be a new one for us. But in the whole scheme of things, I believe that it might have something to do with some kind of alien life, to be honest. So, yeah, well, with all of my targets, I do like to see first if this is even real.
Right.
And you got to think, like, there's so many reports of this. I mean, there have been multiple reports since 1955. At least two of them were from police officers. Okay. Now, at least one of them did recount his story down the road, and people think that maybe he was encouraged to do that by his superiors. Okay. And so that's always an issue as well. But why would a police officer come out and say that he saw something like a frogman? No, knowing that he's going to be ridiculed. We know how that goes. Text being in the cryptid community, we risk being made fun of and called liars and crazy. And you have to think. I mean, why would he put his whole career on the line to lie about seeing a frogman? So yeah, it's just something to think about. It is something to think about.
And on that subject, on that topic, it's like me coming out at work. What have I got to gain about that? Right. I mean, except I have to be prepared for all that, and honestly, your credibility on everything is questioned after you do that. I go through it on a daily basis at work. I get, but I got told the other day I live in a fantasy world.
Well, you do wear a shirt that says you're an actual dog man.
Well, this is true.
I'm kidding. By the way, if anyone would like I am an actual dog man t-shirt, please go to Texas Front Porch on their YouTube channel, and you can purchase your own today. Okay.
Yeah. We've even got them that say I'm an actual Sasquatch too, so you can go either way.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Yeah. Well, hey, Connor's here tonight. Connor Flynn, Bigfooted Non. He is actually originally from Ohio. And I know he's got some knowledge on this tonight. So hopefully he'll be sending us some live chat comments tonight and helping us out here a little bit. Because this stuff is weird, y'all. It's super weird tonight. But yeah, okay. Well, let's just get into it, because I did do 4 different targets, because the first time that I tried to look into this to see if it was even real, I did get some weird data. Okay. And I saw that there was something there. Okay. So what I did, the first target was actually looking into what the gentleman from 1955 saw on the side of the road. Okay. So there was a traveling salesman who was driving through Ohio late at night. I think it was around 3 a.m. And he said that he was driving. He was coming up to, I think there was a bridge. Okay. And he looked over to the side and said that he had seen 3 humanoid figures underneath a dimly lit bridge. And the reports say that they were underneath this bridge, and one of them looked like it held up a wand and it shot out sparks. Okay, so I looked into this, and I did determine that, okay, yes, there was something odd. He did see something that looked like lizards. There were 3 things that kind of looked like lizards, like tall lizards. Okay, they were on the side of the road. And what I was picking up on, it was very vague. That first target was so vague. I was questioning, like, is this real? Like, I just don't know if he saw something that was real, or if he saw something that was just playing with his mind. Okay. Like playing tricks on him. And, but I was picking up, I mean, it was kind of odd, but yes, they were, I was picking up like more lizard-like little creatures. And, and after reading about how the one police officer had come back and said, oh, it was an iguana with its tail cut off. Okay. Or shot off. I was thinking, well, maybe this guy saw a couple of iguanas. I don't know, because the data was vague, okay, to say the least, on that first target. So but I did pick up that there was some kind of alien species involved. Okay, now Tex, alien species can be just a regular animal that's not native to that region.
Right.
Okay. So I left it at that. I just did 1 page of data because I was frustrated, and I said, let's just end this, because this is not getting me anywhere. Okay. And but I did pick up there was some sort of alien species, and it did look like it was a reptile. Okay. And so I let that go, and then I waited a day and I went back in. Okay. And I did another target. I decided, you know what, let me go see what the guy from 1972, the police officer, um, had claimed to see. Okay. In 1972, there was a police officer, excuse me, named Ray Shockey. Okay. And he had claimed that he I believe he had been driving, and an animal scurried in front of his vehicle into his headlights. Okay. And he described it as 3 to 4 feet long, 50 to 75 pounds, with leathery skin. And it was crouched like a frog momentarily before it stood up on two legs and climbed over the guardrail and down to the river. Okay. And so I thought, let me go see what this guy was looking at. Okay. And so I did, and I got so much data. I mean, there was like 5 or 6 pages of data, y'all. It was a lot. By the way, if anybody wants to see all of this data, and I'm going to go over most of it tonight. Okay. You can join my Patreon. Okay. I have a great Patreon family over there, and we're having a lot of fun on Patreon. So you guys, there should be a link below in the description box if anybody wants to join Patreon. And you can go along with our data tonight. You can, on all these shows that I do, you can have the data right there in your hand and go over it with us. So, okay. So this one was different. Okay. I actually got some really good data for this target. Okay. I'm from the get-go, the creature that this guy saw, I mean, this really happened for sure. Okay. He was seeing something that it looked like it was a cryptid. This was a literal cryptid. Okay. It looked like a frog. And this was amphibious. It actually was amphibious. Okay. The first creatures that I was looking at were more kind of reptilian looking. This was actually amphibious with a big head. And it was sitting on the road. It actually, when I was remote viewing this creature was sitting in the road. It didn't just like come out of nowhere. It was actually in the road, sitting there. And what it was doing, it was trying to get warm. Okay. Apparently it was cold outside. It was in the middle of winter. It was in March, I think, but it was cold. And this creature was trying to warm up on that asphalt. I guess asphalt gets warm. And
it retains the heat from the day. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's what this thing was doing. It was actually sitting there trying to get warm. Okay. And this the officer pulled up on it, and it, I guess it was like, oh, it kind of stood up, and it tried to get out of there. Now, this is where it gets really weird. Okay. My data, yes, it was there. It was trying to stay warm on the road. It was trying to get warm, find a warm spot. That's where the warmest spot it could find was on this road. And then my data started going into scientific government experiments. Okay. So it was my data started going all the way into government cover-up and government projects. And this thing is actually part of that. Okay. So some sort of scientific experiments. This thing was actually part of that. And it's not just this one. There was a whole bunch of them. I called it a pod. There was a pod, and pods are like, aren't whales in pods or dolphins in pods? This thing was there's a pod of them. Okay, if that makes sense, is what they called them, a pod of them in this area. Okay, and they live underwater. Okay. But I kept picking up on reptilian vibes. Okay. Even though it was amphibious, I was also picking up reptilian. So that doesn't make any sense because reptiles are not amphibians. Okay. So it was going back and forth between amphibious and reptiles, amphibious, maybe. And then I was thinking, well, maybe it's because it's a reptile and it swims. But Tex, what do you know about the difference between reptiles and amphibians? Well, they can't be both, right?
No. There's a difference. I mean, the skin's different. The amphibian skin is porous, for lack of a better term. It secretes mucus. The reptilians are, hard skinned and scaly and that type of thing. Plus, a reptile can't live in the water. It spends some time in the water, spends some time on the land, but amphibians are born with gills.
Oh, okay.
Reptiles are born with lungs. So,
Okay.
and amphibians can go back and forth. So that's the
Okay.
basic difference.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because we were actually discussing this when when did the show about what was it, the Kentucky Goblins. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I was getting more of a like an insectoid vibe, and Barry Littleton was saying that he got more of an amphibious vibe from those things, and I was trying to think, well, maybe they're just a combination of that, and because if they're not from this planet or they're some kind of alien species, we don't know what's what. They're just not, maybe it's just not classified. Okay, as something from this planet. So yeah, I did get that they do go underwater. So they're whatever this was, it goes underwater. I'm not saying it lives underwater. I
Right.
was getting that it lives underground. There's, like I said, there's a pod of them, and they live underground, and they I want to say they live like in a cavern or something, like some kind of system underground. But I did get that they have something to do with black projects or dark projects with our government. I know. I don't know how to explain any of this, y'all. I'm just telling. I'm just going over my data because I'm just
Well,
as confused as everyone else with this.
right.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
reptilians and amphibians alike are known for digging dens or taking over old dens, even. So,
Okay.
it's not out of the realm of possibility at all.
Yeah. Tony, that's a good point. So snakes crawl up on rocks that have been heated by the sun. Yeah, and I used to have a pet snake. I had a boa constrictor for a little while, or for a long while actually, and what I thought was a he for so many years turned out to be a she. Kobe was a she, and Kobe liked to get underneath that heat lamp, and I'd put the heat lamp over the rock in her aquarium. Okay, and so it reminded me of that. Okay, seeing this thing in the middle of the road trying to stay warm on the asphalt or whatever, that concrete or whatever that was there.
Well,
So,
they'll crawl. Snakes will crawl up on the roadway too. I mean, I've seen. I've when you have a summer when you have it's in the summer and you have a very very odd cool night.
yeah,
You'll see snakes crawl up on the roadway because that roadway retains the heat. And I've seen dozens of snakes. I mean, there's a reason that it's like Alligator Alley, and that road is called Alligator Alley. That's why they do that. Those alligators crawl up on that road to soak up the warmth. You know,
yeah.
so
Interesting. Hey Candy. I just love Candy. Candy Zippy, everybody. She's talking about deep underground bases and working with aliens on transhumanism, developing cryptids for body parts, DNA manipulation, lots of nefarious goings on. And yes, that was in my data tonight. Okay. So that was actually in my data. And these frogmen have something to do with these projects. Okay. I picked up on the Montauk project. Okay. And I know the Montauk project didn't start until, from what we know, the 1980s.
right.
Okay. Now, this was in 1972, and this was on this particular target. Now, that doesn't mean that this was actually Montauk project, but it could have been something similar. We don't know how long these projects have been going on. And if you think about it, after World War II, didn't we have a whole lot of the German, the heads of their military come over here and become the head of NASA and, all these
Yeah.
different scientific groups within our military? There's no telling what kind of projects were going on. Okay. With chimeras in particularly, because I did pick up that these have something to do with a chimera experiment. Okay. And so it absolutely has something to do with that. Okay. And so, yes, these things are real. And yes, it was I did pick up, they were some sort of a hybrid. Okay. And so when we're talking about amphibians versus
Right.
reptiles, and I picked up on both, it could be that these are a hybrid of both.
Yep.
Okay. Because they were actually, I actually also picked up that they're like a human frog hybrid. Okay, too. So there's so much going on there. I don't know. It was just like this weird combo of a whole bunch of stuff in these frogmen. Okay. So I mean, there's no telling. The more information that's coming out every day, if you guys just surf the web, you'll see that there's a lot of nefarious things going on, just like Candy says, that we're very unaware of. But things are leaking out all the time. Okay. So, don't be surprised if this ends up being true down the road, y'all. I don't know. But yes, I've been as confused about some of this data as just about anybody else. But I'm just reporting it to you guys. This is what I picked up on. So yeah. All right. So also,
But
I picked up.
you're not going to be able to. A lot of people need to understand this remote viewing thing. It's not like you're going to get out there and you're going to be able to determine 100% of what sometimes it's even hard to interpret it.
It
Like
is
this,
because I
like
don't know
this
what it
case.
is. Yeah, I
Right,
don't know what the data is. I get the data. The data comes into me. I'm at like a channel for the data, and I have no idea what to do with it. Okay. I don't
right.
even know what it means. Okay. Just like with anyone who's channeling information, a lot of times, I'm not going to say it's not my job, but because it is, I'm sitting here trying to go over it with everybody. But yeah, there's a lot of people out there that know a lot more about this than I do. Okay. And so, and that's kind of like, I look to my audience and everybody that's watching tonight to help me interpret this because I don't even know what all this means or what it is. So you guys, please leave comments tonight in the chat. We'll pull you up. And so Mr. Lurks a lot says that Loveland is only about 30-ish miles from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Now that's where they took the Roswell bodies. Okay. In the Roswell crash, I actually had Raymond Szymanski on my show on Spaced Out Radio last month, and he was one of their head scientists there. Okay. So I got to talk to him about all that. So that's very interesting. So I appreciate that comment. Yeah.
It can't be coincidence that a lot of the stuff that we talk about on here takes place relatively close or on military, you know, bases and
Yeah. Oh
facilities.
yeah. Well, it does. I was just chatting with someone earlier today, okay, who shall remain nameless, who we were talking about, him serving time in the Navy, okay, and that there were UFO sightings coming out of the ocean, okay, and it's stuff that I'm sure that he would not talk about publicly, but I said, well, there's also been UFO sightings of UFOs coming out of lakes at national parks and stuff, and with doing this remote viewing show and looking into dogman attacks like the LBL, we see that there's usually where there's dogmen, there's UFOs, and there's national parks, and there's usually a big lake, and there underground bases. Okay, so food for thought, everybody. Y'all just tuck that
Yeah.
information in the back of your brain, okay? Because there may be something to it. Okay. Okay. So back to the frogmen. Back to the frogmen. Okay. So they do swim in the mucky waters, okay, of this area. They like being in like the muck, just like frog does. Okay. I don't see them hanging out on lily pads or anything, but they do like being in that muck, kind of in swamps and stuff like that. But they just want to be left alone. Okay. They don't want any problems with anybody. They're nonviolent. And yeah, they are, it's just another cryptid, basically. I picked up, it was an unclassified animal, a cryptid. But yes, I also picked up that they are some sort of kind of like a chimera, and our government does have a hand in their creation. Okay. So and those are the ones from the target that I did with the police officer in 1972. Okay. Yeah, let's pull up some more comments. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. So I revisited the other target, the first one that I did. All right. And so I wanted to look back into that because I was like, God, there's got 3 frogs on the side of the road that look like humans with magic wands. Okay. Gotta look back. I've got to look into that and make sure, to see if this is real. You guys, I got a lot more data. Okay. So yes. I actually was kind of seeing this more from the viewpoint of the man that was driving. I was straight up like in his head, kind of, and feeling the emotions that he felt as he was driving down the road, and he saw this, and I saw what he saw as he was driving. Okay, on this one. And Dennis Carroll is in the chat tonight. Hello, Dennis. I love Dennis, y'all. He was on Spaced Out Radio with me talking about werewolves. And yeah, sounds a little perhaps an offshoot of the super soldier, the Nazi experiments along with some type of alien tech. Absolutely. That's exactly what I was picking up on, Dennis. Yeah, totally. So, okay. Yes. So I was kind of in this guy's head, like as he was driving, and he was just driving along the road in the middle of the night. It was like 3 a.m. And he thought his mind was playing tricks on him. He saw these 3 figures, and he thought in his mind, I heard it and I felt it. He thought they were Christmas decorations. Okay. When he first saw them, he was feeling like he thought that they were yard decorations. Okay. Because he was so confused. And so, oops, let me try to pull up some more comments. He thought they were yard decorations. And he was like, is that Christmas decorations? Is that yard decorations? And he goes, oh my God, those are frog men. Okay. Frogmen. And so I picked up, they were, this is going to sound wild again, but I picked up amphibious reptiles. Okay. This was the second or third time I picked this up in this data. Okay. On different targets, amphibious reptiles, absolutely alien. Okay. They were actual alien beings. Okay. And they came from underground in a cavern. Okay. They were living underground, but they're from here. Okay. They were alien. I mean, okay. But they were there. And yeah, this guy was so confused. Okay. He was so confused. He was actually very scared when he realized these things were moving and they weren't just decorations. Okay. But it got his attention. He did see a flash of light. He saw a flash. Okay. And I believe that was the wand. Okay. And he does have reports of there being a wand, and one of the frog men lifted like a stick or a wand up over its head, and they said farts. He said sparks, not farts. Okay. He said sparks came out. Okay. Oh my gosh. I'm having a lot of fun tags. I don't know. This is really funny. So not farts. It was not a fart wand. It was a spark wand. Okay. So I was going to say flames and sparks at the same time, I guess. And it just kind of got blurred there. Okay. Oh my God. Now I'm all sweaty. I'm embarrassed. I said that. But yeah. So the wand, but anyways, yeah. So, but yeah, he did. He saw these, and they were like amphibious reptiles, and they were exactly how he explained them as being. They were about 4 feet tall, okay, and there were 3 of them. They were standing there underneath this bridge, and it was a little bit, it was a little scary for him, okay, and yes, there was kind of some sort of a stick involved, and it did have some kind of light that came out of it. So y'all know I had to remote view the daggum wand next, right? So that was my next target. This is my 4th target. Okay, so I did 4. I don't usually do this many. So I did the Dantla Pass. I did a whole bunch, but this is the 4th. And before I get to that one, let me pull up some pictures so you guys have an idea of what the heck we're talking about tonight. Okay, and okay, so here's a picture similar to what this fella saw. Okay. Uh-oh, Texas is not coming up. Is it because
do what?
Oh, there it goes. There it goes. Okay, sorry. It was my bad. Okay, so that's kind of what he saw. Like three frogs. 3 frogs. You know what? This is interesting. When I was a kid, I did not like frogs at all. I remember my earliest childhood memory. I was, my mom had bought me a blue plastic swimming pool, and she turned the garden hose on and was filling it up with water. I went inside to put on my bathing suit, and I came outside, and there were like 500 little tiny frogs in my pool. Okay. And I'd never liked frogs after that. And then I have another story. When I was walking around, and I would go to my grandparents' house, and they always had sun-dried frogs in their driveway that had been run over by the car. And I called them oak ogs, broke frogs. Okay. So that was my childhood, looking for sun-dried frogs and having frogs in my swimming pool. So I was not a huge fan of frogs. But here I am talking about them today. So that's what the gentleman saw. Okay. Now, in 1972, the police officer who claimed to have seen one, which I did remote view, and yes, he did see something. It looked similar to that. That's kind of how he described it. Okay. And there's a scale on the top where there's like a human, and that's about how big the frog was to scale. Okay. Now I don't even know where this picture came from. I'm not sure if this is the couple, the teenagers that were playing Pokemon Go. That's a weird picture though. So when you're researching this, this picture comes up. It's one of the stock photos basically for the Loveland Frogman. Okay, so it kind of looks like a groundhog or something to me, but okay. And then there's also this picture. I believe this is from the teenagers that took that grainy shot. It does look like a frog, but it also looks like it could be a hoax. Okay.
Yeah.
So by now, I'm sure there's plenty of people that could hoax that and get away with it,
Well, it looks, I mean, is that water they're taking a picture of? Is that a lake?
It looks like a lake, yes.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like this thing's sitting almost Indian style on top of hovering over the water or something. It's weird.
It does. There's no telling what that thing is right there. I did not remote view that, and when they had me at Pokemon Go, I was like, yeah, I'm not remote viewing that. Okay, anything that has to do with Pokemon Go, I'm good. We're just going to look in these other ones, okay? But here's another artist rendition. Okay, that's interesting looking. Now, some reports say that it had a tail. Other reports, most of the other reports, they don't mention a tail. Okay. And here's another picture. That frog's like, all right, see you later, alligator. I'm jumping over this guardrail here. So, but anyways, that's kind of what we're talking about. Okay. So, in case y'all are wondering, that's what we're talking about. Okay. So we can get to the magic wand now. Tex, are you ready to talk about the magic wand?
Yeah. Because
this is weird. Okay. So, yes, there was one of these creatures was holding a stick. Okay, it was, and I did look into this, and it was emitting something electrical. Okay, and now Tex, before the show, I told you, because in my data I wrote that it was not sparks. It looked like one of those balls, like a globe that back in the 1990s, you either had a lava lamp or you had one of these balls that had like electricity in the middle, and you put your hand on it and the static electricity would move around to match your hand. Okay. What was that called, Tex? Do you remember?
They're called plasma balls.
Plasma balls.
You can get them at almost any joke shop or anything. I mean, it's it's just something weird. I mean, a lot of back in I'm an '80s kid, so a lot of kids in the '80s had them in their bedrooms. You go down to, I can't remember the what was it, Spencer's in the mall.
Spencer's, yes, I remember that place.
Yeah,
they did have stuff like that. Yeah. Yep. Well, that's okay. So that's what I was seeing. And so, okay, that actually makes more sense with my data, because instead of like a sparkler or some kind of flames coming out of it, I was seeing a plasma, like a static plasma ball or something, but it wasn't a ball. It was actually that's what it looked like coming out of it. Now I picked up that it was a weapon of some sort. It was an electrical weaponry. And it had something to do with some experiment they were doing. It makes sense because I picked up on the Montauk project. Okay. And if you look into the Montauk project, okay, and I know that didn't start what they report until the 1980s. This was in 1972. Okay. But they were, the Montauk project had to do with time travel. Okay. Teleportation, mind control, and contact with extraterrestrials. Okay. And it makes sense to me that this could have something to do with that, especially if they're dealing with time travel. I mean,
Right.
It's 1972 and 1980s. Maybe they went back to 1972. I mean, who knows? This stuff is weird, everybody. This is really weird. So we can't think in time in terms of linear time when we're talking about aliens and the Montauk Project and stuff like that. Okay, but I did pick up that it looked more like a plasma type of thing at the end of this wand, and so could it have been used for some kind of time travel device? Absolutely. I mean, I've got a flash of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in my head right now. Okay, and they actually had a device that allowed them to time travel. Okay, and perhaps that's what the Frogmen were doing. Maybe this was a time travel device. I didn't pick up specifically that was a time travel device, but I did pick up that they had a job to do, and they were doing their job. Okay, so it was some sort of job that they were tasked with doing. It had something to do with this government black project, okay, that they were actually a part of in some way, but they were just doing their job. But yeah, something to do with some kind of work they were doing. Okay.
Yeah, and to your point, when you were talking about we can't think like in linear time, we can't think
Mm-hmm.
in single dimension. It's because we don't know what's possible when we're dealing with all this kind of stuff, and when you're getting all this mixed up information, you can't put your thumb on it. So
Yeah.
it's hard to interpret to begin with. It's like going back and
Yeah.
forth between, well, I got a lizard vibe, I got a amphibian vibe, and maybe it's some kind of hybrid, and who knows, you know?
Well, I did. I mean, they are some sort of like an alien species, but I was picking up
Hmm.
like a chimera. So
Right,
my first impression was that they were not alien from like a different planet, like that kind of an alien, but they were an alien species, which meant that they are alien to the region. Okay, they're
right,
not from here. They're alien. It's almost like they're not supposed to be there. Okay, and then yeah, and then I started picking up with the other target that they were alien, okay, but they were
right,
chimeras. Okay, now a chimera to me, working with these government programs, if they're working with these government programs, that means that they were created. Okay, chimeras can be just about anything, but with these other targets I've done, with these underground facilities that I've stumbled upon, they have experiments going on in these underground facilities that have to do with chimeras, where they're creating chimeras. Okay, and so I feel as though these frogmen are part of that program.
still, always when we start talking about chimeras, I always wonder about that law that the UK put in place. It's just so strange. Why would you put a
What
law
law
in
is
place?
that?
They put a law in place several years ago, making it illegal to kill or harass a chimera.
What? I haven't
Yeah,
heard about that. Wow.
yeah,
You can't kill or harass.
a chimera.
Okay. Okay. Well, then that means that they're admitting to chimeras.
That
Okay.
that that's my thought on it too. But
Yeah.
it's one of those that they kind of slip into the books under the wire. Under.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about it tonight. All right. So Dennis was wondering if the wand possibly could have something to do with a portal. Absolutely, yes. I was actually thinking that too, and I see. I wasn't connecting the Montauk Project to this wand or anything like that because I didn't know what the Montauk Project was. I knew it had something to do with Stranger Things. Okay. And it wasn't until right before we went on air, Tex and I were kind of going over some of the data, and we were looking this stuff up, and we saw Montauk Project dealt with time travel, teleportation. I knew it had to do with mind control. I knew that, but contact with ETs and interdimensionals. I'm assuming, right? So that would require some sort of a portal in some way. Okay, and even ETs and UFOs. So yeah, that wand probably may have been there to open up a portal. Absolutely, it did have something to do with plasma. Okay. I don't know how that works. Okay, maybe somebody in the chat knows. Somebody watching tonight might have an idea. I have no clue. I'm just reading the data that I came up with. So yeah.
Papa Craig.
What is Papa Craig saying tonight?
Papa says, Hilton, I heard Kermit was unable to speak at Jim Henson's funeral.
What? Oh.
Let that one sink in for a while.
Oh, that's terrible. Womp, womp, womp. Oh, man. Okay. Well, that's all right. That's a good joke, though. Actually, that's actually a pretty good one. So, yeah. I mean, I've been making frog and magic wand jokes all day myself. Okay. And anytime I text somebody all day when I've texted all of Texas front porch today, I just put a frog face and a magic wand beside it. Okay.
Yeah. We had
it's very magical.
bouncing all over the place.
We did. So, yeah, I don't know. You guys, this stuff blows my mind, and I've never have heard of a frogman before until I started looking into this stuff. Except for the frogmen, don't we have a military unit called the frogmen? Okay,
so. Yeah, that's what they called them back in the day. That's what those were the precursors to the Navy SEALs. Basically, they were the demolition team and that type
of thing. Yeah, well, that's interesting. Now, knowing what we know now, okay, if these things are connected with the Montauk Project, which is a government black program, dark program, what if like they had knowledge of all of this, like these frogmen, and they were making these things and creating them when they created the actual frogmen with the military? You know, I mean, what if it's kind of a weird connection there? I don't know. I think that there's always a little something nefarious hiding in the shadows when it comes to these topics. So yeah.
I agree.
Interesting. So Laura, thank you. She said chimerism is also a condition that often the result of maternal twins where one fetus will absorb the other, thus allowing the person to exhibit DNA of both. Okay, so I don't know if this has anything to do with this, but what if there's like a mixture between amphibians and reptiles and these things, and it's got something to do with chimerism? I'm no scientist, so I might just be talking crazy right now. I don't know, but could there be a connection, Tax? What do you think?
I think anything's possible. I mean, you know, it's like the Montauk Project, and I was shocked to find out that it was supposedly abducting children and doing experiments on them, and it was just like, what? You know?
Oh yeah.
If that was to actually come out, man, that would have to blow the roof off of some stuff.
But, I mean, do you think the truth will ever come out? I mean, it seems like it's being leaked out a little bit here and there.
Yeah, but nobody's paying any attention to it.
Yeah.
You know, it just, I mean, especially when it's rolled into these circles where they're just rolled off as, it's like we were talking about, you know, on last night's show. It just gets rolled into a bunch of crazies, and we do the work for them, and they don't have to worry about it. You know, I mean, it's just all conspiracy, and so nobody really pays attention to it. You know?
Yeah. It's perfect. It's actually a perfect formula, right? So we're out here putting all this out here, and we're the, you know, conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, we're the crazy ones. Yeah,
I'm the remote viewing lady that's looking into all these weird amphibian reptile chimeras and frogmen that are like human frog hybrids.
Yeah.
And I'm out here, at least I'm doing it with a smile on my face, and we can kind of laugh and joke about it. But at the same time, I mean, this is potentially pretty messed up stuff, okay, that our government's doing, if our government's involved, which I picked up that they were. As in many of these targets that I've done, the government is very much involved in this stuff. Okay, so I don't know.
I think the government's involved in just about everything we talk about at some level. I really do.
Yeah, and I do apologize for saying that they had a fart wand. I did. It was between flame and sparks. That was great. All right. So that's the meme for the night. Okay. But yeah, it's frog. Now I'm interested to know if there have been other people that have seen these frogmen. Okay. Because I know we've got the 1955 incident. We have the 1970s incident. We had more than one police officer that saw this too. And I'm trying to find my paper here. We had more than one police officer, but it was very odd that the one police officer came out and told a story about it. And then later on, another cop was like, "Oh, I actually saw that too, but it was an iguana and I shot its tail off." So that's what that was. It's like they covered it up real fast. Like, oh, that was just crazy. It was an iguana. Like, how many iguanas do they have roaming around Ohio? I mean, I could see if it was in
Right?
Miami, but what about Ohio?
They got
That's
them
kind of
all over the
odd.
place.
I don't have iguanas in Georgia. I mean, I haven't seen any. I don't know. Do you have them in Texas? Probably.
Well, I mean, the whole invasive species thing is creeping from Florida over out west. So they're starting to see them. I know in Louisiana they're starting to see those different lizard species and stuff. So yeah, over in East Texas, Southeast Texas, it wouldn't surprise me that it's there. So
Yeah.
because they love that kind of terrain and climate.
Yeah. I don't know. I think in the coming days and the coming years, we're going to be made aware of a lot more human animal chimeras. Okay. And there was a little bit of my data that did suggest that these could be like human frog chimeras a little bit.
Right.
Okay. So it's kind of scary to think about that kind of stuff, but it did touch on that a little bit. Okay. So buckle up, everybody. Just in case the next few years. I mean, it just seems like things are kind of leaking out a little more and more. So, yeah. But I don't know. I find the story of the iguanas a little. I mean, it could be. Okay, it could be. I did not pick up on iguanas in my data. Okay, I don't think it was actually iguanas. But I mean, for people trying to cover up a story, I mean, a frogman, I could see it being like that. I don't know. Just like when there's a dog man attack, what is the go-to story? A pack of wild dogs killed somebody, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's what. When I had my dog man sighting, that's when something would go missing, livestock or something. That's one of the things. That was one of the go-to things. It was either a big cat or a pack of wild dogs.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But
let's see.
I just, but people were just trying to make sense of stuff that was just coming up, tore up and missing. I mean, you can't blame them,
Yeah.
But I don't know if anybody ever saw it other than me. I'm sure they did, but ain't nobody going to talk about seeing a freaking 7.5, 8 foot werewolf running around,
Exactly. Now, I just took that comment down, and I do not think that these beings are snakes with arms and legs. I don't think it was that. So, but yeah, ETs are known to genetically engineer animals with humans. So, who's to say that it's not our government working in conjunction with the ETs at these deep underground bases, creating these chimeras, or just all over the world? I mean, we don't know what people are doing in all these science labs all over the world. Okay. We have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, they're still trying to convince us that no one ever has cloned a human. Give me a break.
Yeah. Well, see, that's another thing I think that we should do a show on sometime, and that's human cloning. Okay. I've seen some videos that have blown my mind lately. Okay. Over human cloning and uploading your consciousness in a human clone. And they're having this, I mean, it's like they have real skin and hair, and I mean, it looks like a real human. And so I'm sure Jason will do a show on that if he hadn't already.
Right.
So yeah, but that actually kind of scares me more than a lot of other stuff, is the human cloning. Okay.
My big, I ain't worried about all these cryptids and all this kind of stuff. I'm not even worried about the UFO thing. It's the freaking AI that gets me going. That's what's got me worried. It's the AI.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and we were talking about Candy had actually had a comment tonight about the transhumanism. Okay, and a lot of this, I mean, transhumanism is a threat to us being humans and having humans on this earth. Some people say that this generation right now, we might be one of the last generations of actual humans. Okay, of full pure humans. Okay, because with the combination of AI being interwoven into human consciousness and into humans, we could be the last actual humans on this planet. I don't know. It's a thought. Okay. It's a thought. I mean, and with all the animals being cloned and hybrid, put it chimerid and all that stuff. I mean, I don't know. It's messing with God's work, right?
Yeah, and it's like the old
Yeah.
commercial. Don't fool with Mother Nature. you know,
Well, that's what's going on here, though, right?
exactly.
Yeah, Darkwood says we will be known as organic humans. That's right. We are the last of the organic humans. Okay, it could be. I hope that's not the case. Okay, and maybe just bringing awareness to all this and us talking about this and bringing this out in the open and exploring these frogmen and all these chimeras and whatever else is going on, even dogmen and werewolves and all this stuff. Sasquatch. I think Sasquatch is different, but the things that I've looked into, and I feel like the government has a hand in some of this stuff, and
Right.
scientists. It's just bringing attention to it. Maybe we can make a difference and have it not take over our world one day.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I think that if it does go down that road, that there's always going to be a resistance. So.
Yeah. Unless they start cloning dogs, like Candy says, and she'd have her dogs cloned. I don't mind. You know what? We all want to clone. We love our dogs. I know.
Yeah, I'm fixing to lose one and I'm dreading it. So.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got a boxer that is 12 years old, and which is very, very old for a boxer. But she's got a brain tumor, and she walks around lost about half the time. But she still knows her name. She still got her, all her faculties. I mean, she goes outside. She don't have any accidents in the house. She's still eating, and she'll run around and chase a cat outside. So, she just stumbles and runs into things, and she'll walk up to a wooden cabinet door and just stare at it for like 5 minutes. But she's.
We love our dogs, though.
She's
We
a
love
little
her.
confused, but
it's okay. We're all gonna be a little confused when we get old. Okay, it's all right. It's just part of
confused
life. It's
every day
part of
when I
that
wake
circle
up.
of life. Right. Well, you just take care of your dog. And you know what? Tonight we're going to end on this wonderful, beautiful note. Things can change for the better. It's really just up to us. Thank you,
That's right.
Darkwoods. You are absolutely right. I appreciate that comment so much. And just like I appreciate everybody being here tonight and having fun with us on this beautiful Friday night and talking about the frogmen of Loveland, Ohio. So I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. Like I said, this has been a blast. Tex, thank you for co-hosting with me tonight.
Anytime.
And
I love it.
yeah. All right. Well, you guys please join me this weekend. I'm going to be going off the trails on Spaced Out Radio with Jason McLean of Jason McLean Questions Everything in Texas Front Porch. And then on Sunday, that's tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern. And then on Sunday, I have my teammate and my good friend, Keith McLean, coming on. He's a wildlife biologist and a Bigfoot field researcher. We're going to talk about some fun, crazy stuff that we've experienced out in the field and all about Keith's experiences. So y'all tune in. Space Out Radio. We'll have another great target next Friday. I have no idea what it's going to be, but I can promise y'all we're going to have a good time. Okay. So, so until next time, you guys have a great night. Thank you so much for joining us. And Tex, thank you for being my co-host. We'll see y'all next week and join me tomorrow. Bye, y'all.
Good night, everybody.